We are into the first segment alongside the Member of Parliament, Soy constituency, Caleb Kositani. Good morning, Mheshimiwa. Thank you.
Good morning.
I do appreciate your time. Professor Herman Manyora is commentator on developments in the country. I do appreciate your time. Good morning, Prof.
Morning to you.
Thanks for coming. And Dr. Nahashon Moitale Langat is policy expert at Kibra. Before we head to the discussion, this is what members of Parliament allied to the President and the opposition chief yesterday. Raila Odinga said in Parliament over accusations of Ruto allies collecting signatures for impeachment during the Naivasha convening or Naivasha summit on Monday. Here is what they had to say.
Criticize those who went to Nakuru and came up with a resolution of saying that they are going to start a parallel process. That was not wise. That was not good. We need one Kenya. We need one BBI. It appears now they will politicize BBI, hold parallel meetings. To us, Uhuru Kenyatta has told us to have one BBI process, and therefore we are not part of that Nakuru group. We never attended that group, and for me that Nakuru group is just playing politics.
Mikutano za BBI zimeratibiwa, weekend hii tutakuwa kule Kitui na tutasonga hivyo according to ile program ambayo tumepeana.
I want to challenge them to publish the names of the 176 members who attended the meeting in Naivasha. Because there were barely 100 members of parliament there.
There were 78. BBI was the impeachment of the president. We are ready for them. Let them bring it to parliament. We are aware that they were collecting signatures to bring to parliament to impeach President Uhuru Kenyatta. They are too few, they are too small, and they are minute in the system of governance of this country.
All right, thank you so much. You are watching the program. Now let's get to the discussion. And we first of all sample statements issued by the members of parliament. And I first go to the member of parliament, Soy constituency, Mheshimiwa. Good morning. And your meeting in Naivasha came much to the consternation of the members of parliament yesterday, mainly ODM members of parliament and equally those from the Jubilee Party. And they say that you discussed matters impeachment. You are collecting signatures to impeach the president on parliament resumes from recess next week. Did you discuss anything of such?
Well, it's very laughable that leaders or people who are meant to be leaders, national leaders, can actually lead the country astray deliberately on matters that we discussed in Naivasha. I think we had the media there. We addressed the press. We have our press statement that we released, and nowhere in our deliberations throughout the night on Sunday and a good part of some of Monday morning did we discuss impeachment. We discussed matters BBI. We discussed issues that affect our people. We discussed how we are going to engage in these BBI rallies. We also discussed how we are going to have other complementary rallies and not parallel.
Okay.
But no time did we say we were going to have parallel rallies. We decided we were going to join the rallies already lined up. And we did this because the Haji team has now been put in place, and they have released, they have sat down, and we're going to go by the program that the Haji team produces. But that does not stop us from having other complementary rallies, for maybe lack of a better word, whereby we feel that we need to reach out to our voters and have rallies there. And we said, made it very clear that everybody, including Raila Odinga, is invited to those other rallies.
And the president.
And it is within the constitution. And the president too, and the deputy president. Everybody is welcome to come and listen to the views of the people. So the issue of impeachment, I think I would advise even ODM, whenever they have a press conference, let them look for some intelligent people to express issues and not the likes of Junet and others, so that you can have people talking to Kenya and giving people the truth. Because I think Junet is a big joker.
Okay, but particularly there were Jubilee members of parliament who remain fierce critics of the DP William Ruto, the likes of Ngunyuri Wambugu, Kanini Kega.
And they're within their democratic right.
Yep.
They are not supposed to love the deputy president. They are not supposed to sing praise of him. They can say anything they want to say. They are within their democratic right, the way we are within our democratic right to have our different shades of opinion. And we said this in Naivasha. And I think that is why ODM is coming out strong and bringing these impeachment rumors and all. We said we are for BBI 1 has launched in Bomas. We are speaking to the people, and the people of Kenya do not want any additional seat at the top. Nobody in Kenya is holding that. And there is even a group in Mombasa who said they agreed with everything that was said in Mombasa, the resolutions that were read by Kingi, but they do not agree to that creation of regional governments and that. And in fact, they gave a very good suggestion which I think should be considered. They said, if you cannot have regional governments and county governments, if you're going for regional governments, then abolish the county governments, which is a very good, which is also a proposal worth considering. But this issue whereby BBI is being pushed, because you are opposing the creation of additional posts to massage some egos, then you are branded anti-BBI. That will not.
And you specifically are talking about the three-tier system of governance,
exactly,
which at the moment seems to be not of so much interest to Kenyans because of the economic status.
Exactly.
And of course, some feel that it's a form of a channel for the governors who are facing corruption to escape. Professor Aman Manyora, we have seen sort of the thin and the fragile line here in regards to the BBI. And ever since the coming together of Kenyatta and Odinga, the process was largely underpinned by politics, up until the likes of Caleb Kositani and Ruto allies came to support, and that again changed the tune. However, what do you think then that informs the form of impeachment press yesterday issued by the largely ODM members of parliament in parliament presence yesterday?
Good morning. I think impeachment is like murder. And you cannot announce that I'm going to murder somebody. So if the Kositani group in Naivasha had the intention of discussing impeachment or arranging impeachment of President Uhuru, it's unlikely that they would have issued that in a press statement. You cannot issue the murder issues in a press statement. But having said that, I doubt that they could have discussed such. For the obvious reason that even as the group, I keep advising them, and they never pay me anything, honestly.
That is the...
Please deliver my fee notes. Because even as they brag of the numbers, they must be smart enough to know they are informers. Kenyans call them moles. You can't have a gathering of 153 or whatever it is without having 10 or so Uhuru people right there inside. This is politics, this is Kenya especially. So for that reason, they wouldn't even make it so. It will be a kitchen cabinet arrangement. Now that we have the numbers, can we move? And then you sell it later. So, but I doubt that was the case. This is just politics. As to how far it will take them is anybody's guess. My thinking is that they are coming a little too late because the people they are trying to counter, because really they are countering the other side. And they have their good reasons. And, they can't just lie there idle, waiting to be slaughtered like chicken. They must make a little noise. They are too late because the guys they are working against are too smart.
That is the other end,
yes.
The BBI proponents.
Uhuru had and Raila had, I think, foreseen all this. And that's why they chose the regional conveners.
Okay.
So for them, the North Rift, they have been given Governor Tolgos. It's unlikely that you'll organize any rally around that area like in Eldoret without doing it under the chairship of Tolgos and other areas the same. So they're unlikely to have meetings of their own. Even this one of Nakuru is unlikely to take off, knowing Kenya and politics the way it works. You see, but as a scare, you can scare the other side a bit, but you'll achieve very little because the guys are prepared for them. Either, it's very simple, I've said, a rally like the one of Nakuru or the one of Eldoret, the president would choose to attend. Now it becomes a state function. All the things you had in mind have been scuttled.
And that says that transpires, as we have seen in the case of the Nakuru at one point when the president was presiding over the issuance of land title deeds, when Susan Kihika, the senator and member of parliament, were locked out. Is such situation likely to play out in the essence that there might be the show of might of the presidents in terms of power? You
see, knowing Kenya, knowing the position in which DP Ruto is, he's unlikely they are unlikely to do anything that would suggest he's trying to be disrespectful to the president directly. At the time the president went to open, I think it was Rivertex,
Yes.
There was that kind of fear. But I thought, do people understand politics? If you do that, then you give the president what he needs. You'll be handing him what he needs. Because now his people say, mnacheza kijana yetu kwisha. You have lost the Mount Kenya vote. So there is unlikely to be any confrontation so long as the president appears there. And that will mute them. And my friend here, on that note, please.
Well, we'll come to the okay. We'll come to the unity of purpose and why Kenyans are a bit skeptical about. There's the deep sense of skepticism about whether the BBI can be the radical surgery point, all the political problems that bedevil the country, and whether it can offer the clean political break. However, though, let me come to Dr. Langat. I mean, talk to me about the sporadic sense of now the BBI events. More comment was in Mombasa on Saturday, alongside the likes of Senator Susan Kihika. They say they will attend alongside the Mheshimiwa Member of Parliament when they issued the presser last week on Tuesday. But again, in the Naivasha presser, he said that we'll have rallies or summits for that matter where there will be no coercion into calling someone name for that matter. It was the Baba title which happened in the port city of Mombasa County. I mean, when you look at this, is it dividing Kenyans more than it ought to be united them?
Okay. So far, there's a lot of division, and there is a lot of unnecessary chit-chats, because we expected us to handle real-time issues like, we have real-time issues like the locust invasion. We
have the coronavirus now.
We have the coronavirus, and then the agenda 4. I really don't know which cabinet it has been locked inside, because now nobody is talking about the agenda 4. But coming to that question of the complementary meetings, where they were supposed to complement the BBI, I like that, because who likes to be humiliated? Imagine you go somewhere, a BBI is supposed to unite people. You now take the microphone, but people want you to pledge allegiance to Baba before you talk anything. Like
what happened in Mombasa.
Yeah. So that's more of humiliating, because you are a very senior person in the society. I can imagine a Mheshimiwa like Caleb Kositany has more than 50,000 votes, and then you are being humiliated too. Before you talk, Mheshimiwa Caleb, you must say Baba.
So, Baba, ito Baba.
So now, when you have a parallel meeting, you have an agenda that is set, and actually you feel you are there, not by luck, not by it's not a favor for you to be there. So I would really appreciate them to have this meeting, and this issue of referendum or BBI come to an end, and we start the Big Four agenda. The problem I have now as a policy and governance advisor. That's my role. I'm supposed to advise the government on policy, as now as a director Kipra. Now, but unfortunately, all our policies are now gathering dust. Instead of them being implemented, there is a diversionary tactic where things are, the talks now are no longer on the policies, but now on the flexing muscles. Now, so what we need to do is, first of all, we need to understand that we have a direction to go, and this direction is on the agenda. And we only have 2 years for the legacy of the president to be achieved. And again,
and it seems that then that we seem that the sort of the politicization of the process currently has sucked some energy from
what I believe is that
the Big Four agenda, isn't it?
Has succeeded. They have succeeded in terms of diverting. I heard Orengo saying that we now, by July, will be done with the referendum, and then now we think whether we'll go to the agenda 4 or not. But that's now very unfortunate. But on the issue of, I need to comment on something about the impeaching the president. I think there's something that the Kenyans won't forget, or they might have forgotten, but they need to be reminded. The last person to impeach the president is Honorable Ruto. You remember that even before Central Kenya accepted Uhuru, who was with Uhuru?
Okay.
Ruto.
All right.
Before he became an MP.
And that, of course, pertains, just cut you short, the coming together of the then Eldoret North Member of Parliament and the former Deputy Prime Minister Uhuru Kenyatta when they convened at the Afraha Stadium. And at the time shared, of course, indictments of crimes against humanity at the ICC. Let me get the final comments from Mheshimiwa, and then we'll sample some of the feedback on Twitter. Honorable Caleb Kositany, of course, you have been very clear. Your faction is very clear. your interest is wanting to see the implementation of the 2013 Accord, that the president supports DP William Ruto in 2022. But there appears to be the sheer lack of deficiency in trust within the ruling Jubilee Party. Do you see, a successful succession plan for your party?
Well, you see, first of all, there was no accord in 2013 so-called succession plan. There were just verbal comments that the president made that nitaenda yangu 10 and then the deputy president serves his 10 years. There was no agreement, there was no requirement that he does so. That was his word as a gentleman, that was his word. So we really don't expect much because in terms of forcing the president to sit somewhere and say, now I endorse William Ruto. We don't expect that. We don't want it. We just want a level playing ground. Let all those who are interested, and we have said this before, that at the time when Jubilee will carry out the nomination for the presidential candidate, it shall be free and fair, and whoever wins, if it is William Ruto, we will back him. If it is any other person, so long as they are in the Jubilee party, we shall back that person. So we don't want anybody to put the president under pressure, that you said all this, now you must do this. That was his own statement. He knows where he came from with it, and that is what we want to carry. But on this issue of impeachment, I think ODM needs to be sincere. There are some statements that they made at the Mombasa, the Mombasa rally, at the Mombasa rally. And those statements, I think, are now, they're trying some diversionary tactics to try and turn around minds on what they say, because they made some very serious statements that seem to have been touching even on the presidency in Mombasa. Okay. And they were endorsed by, it started with Raila, and it were even in the resolutions read by Kingi. Now they are realizing that it caused maybe some jitteries and maybe some meetings that took on Sunday and what, and they're coming back to talk about impeachment. As Langat here said, we, especially William Ruto and I, are among the few people who have voted for President Uhuru Kenyatta 4 times. I voted for President Kenyatta in 2002. We voted for him to a man. After President Moi told us to vote for him, we even went to the opposition with him when Mount Kenya chose Kibaki.
That was in the build up to
we voted for him in 2013. We voted for him twice in 2017. And really,
4 times.
4 times. When somebody comes and says we are trying to impeach the president, those are people who are telling us we are trying to impeach, are the people who are insulting Uhuru just the other day. Where do they get the audacity to come and tell us respect Uhuru? They have never voted for him. They have never, the words they have spoken about him, which they came from their souls, they have not even apologized, first of all. And then they come and tell us, yeah, you should apologize before you give a speech or any address, you should apologize to Raila Odinga. Really, honestly, let's be honest with ourselves.
The camouflage in nature, I mean, you point out the legitimacy issue in the 2017 elections, the boycotting, and then the handshake afterwards. There was the silence, the pin drop silence, and now seem to be supporting the president, but not his deputy, William Ruto. And that has been the question that I kept on asking the SG Edwin Sifuna when he appeared here on the show, that the under-acknowledgement and the under-appreciation of the DP William Ruto, taking him from the political mathematics as to why you appreciate the boss and not the DP William Ruto. And Prof, I'm on that in regards to that. Or you still finish up?
Yeah, I'm saying what we need to understand when we talk about disrespecting the president. We voted for a presidency.
That was a pair.
As one unit. It's a pair. There was no William Ruto on the ballot. There was no William Ruto on the ballot. They were a pair, him and the president, Even when you look at the letterheads coming from the president's office, written the presidency, it means it's William Ruto and the president. So if you are insulting William Ruto, you're insulting Uhuru Kenyatta. If you're insulting Uhuru Kenyatta, you're insulting William Ruto. That's as simple as it is. So people should respect the presidency.
Which is an institution, a national institution. Yes, Prof. What do you think informs the ODM energy here in regards to now, I mean, supporting the president, not the deputy president, at some point, Junaid Mohammed calling for the resignation of the DP, William Ruto, alongside Maina Kamanda. And do you think that in one way or the other, it's likely going to be the engineering process of an ODM and the Kenyatta faction-led merger or sort of support political in the country ahead of 2022?
First of all, disrespecting Ruto is disrespecting Uhuru, and vice versa. But there is a saying that whoever sleeps with your father is your mother. So disrespecting Raila Odinga is equally disrespecting Uhuru.
You mean the opposition to the handshake is equally disrespectful?
Yeah,
to the
because
president?
now it's like, you know, your mother maybe has died or she's too old and your father has another young girl. She's your mother. You can't look at her as young and say, so, just as it is bad for you to disrespect Uhuru or Ruto, it is equally bad to disrespect Raila because they are one and the same with Uhuru, and at the same time, in terms of the thinking,
Okay.
at the same time, in terms of age and experience and what people have done for this country. The point you are raising is really important because, you see, all these things that are happening, and I don't know why people are not seeing these simple things, it's because it is politics. And the politics is about power. Politics has never been about friendship anywhere in the world. Politics is about power. And you do everything in the book and outside the book if you can manage to get power. You get what I'm saying? And politicians don't get sleepless nights because they have betrayed one of their own. No, it's normal. It's normal for Caleb here and I to be very good. He puts me up, I become something, and tomorrow I forget him. You know, Machiavelli told us this. In fact, according to Machiavelli, in The Prince, advice to the prince, you should not only do to Ruto what is being done to Ruto, you should clear him. That if somebody puts you in power, they can't be around. You must be a Moi and clear and Jonjo. It is how politics is played. It may not be what I want. Actually, I don't want it that way, but that's how it is. Secondly, it is important for my brothers in the so-called Tanga wing, represented here ably by Caleb, to know that Uhuru is looking beyond 2022. 2022 and beyond.
He was very categorical yesterday.
And he's wondering, surely, this country the way it is, should I leave it like that? And then he looks for Raila or whoever looks for each other. And then they sit down and say, no, we can't leave this country. We can do something about it. That is the dream of BBI. Now, how they play it is another story. You get it? But they will play, in order to actualize what they want, they will have to play politics in the way politics is played. And in order to implement this, Caleb, whatever dream they have, they need state power. You get it? This is what these guys are missing. They need state power to implement the dream of BBI. And that comes after 2022. So they are playing chess and they are arranging things here and there in order to have the power post-2022 to implement that dream. So the two of them, make no mistake, they will have to be around.
Does that then inform the discontent expressed by the other end?
Yes, they should know that this you cannot. Their eyes on the ball, Uhuru and Raila. You cannot remove their eye from that ball. So you figure out how you can do it. But by making a little noise and asking them to behave and asking them to be orderly with BBI meetings and content, we only want BBI one. No, this is politics.
Okay, we'll come to that because Senator Murkomen alluded to the fact that there is a hidden agenda.
Of course.
And that this is just a matter of the seeking of the views and that things have already been determined. However, though, I'll come back to you. Let's go and close over to Linda, who is standing by on the big screen to sample some of your feedback on the Twitter handle. That is New Day KE. And here we are to see how you have responded so far. Linda.
Right, thank you so much. Of course, one would want to know what the panel sort of feels in regards to the reactions that we get from social media. A majority of Kenyans always out there to echo their sentiments, especially in regards to the issues that affect us. And right now, the hashtag BBI is a fraud, of course, trending. And equally, Kikuyu, sort of depicting a picture of what has really, turned out to be something that is bitter in the mouth of the common mwananchi. And when you look at the hashtag Kikuyu, it speaks volumes in regards to how Kenyans have accepted the coming in of the BBI, as to whether indeed they are contented with it or they're happy that it's coming in to bring this conversation, or they feel like they have been hoodwashed. And sort of dividing us even more. And as you can see, Joseph Omondi right here saying that Kikuyu can't lecture Kenyans who to vote for. Mount Kenya Mafia should know that we are not political slavery. We Luo are behind Hustler DP Ruto because he has potential and Wanjiku is tired of this Uhuru Raila thing. Hashtag BBI fraud. Punda amechoka. We are being fooled. And another one, here is a tweet by, well, Donald Kipkorir. We all know him, the lawyer. And of course, this is what he has to say. Kikuyu, Tanga MPs are selling the false narrative to their people that there will be violence in Rift Valley in 2022. If they don't vote in a particular way, you can't exhort votes with threats of violence. Government must end this false narrative. It is terrorism. Still on the hashtag, Kikuyu should know that Ruto is worse than Raila. If you compare what Moi did to his country in 24 years and what Ruto has done at DP in 6 years, Moi was child play. Ruto will make Kenyans 100 times poorer than Zimbabweans. We will be carrying useless cash in sacks 2023 Mtajuta. 3 years ago, I met, this is a different tweet, okay, well, and here we are. You will never read or hear in a Kenyan news report that police in Nairobi killed 3 suspects Kikuyu thugs or that 2 suspected Luya bandits and died instantly. So we should stop this narrative of looking at each other in line with a tribe. Of course, some level of sanity in regards to that. And then Mukami Waembu asked, I told Ruto to remember that you cannot buy a Kikuyu, but you can only rent, because when the Mudamaki comes, things will change instantly. This was in Nakuru. Of course, in regards to what President Uhuru Kenyatta also echoed in terms of sentiments and calling upon some of the Tanga members of parliament not to, of course, castigate him or not to fire shots at him. So, I mean, just crossing over to the panel once again in regards to the same Ayub, I think it is necessary that we look at this aspect of what the BBI is bringing on board, because then the divisiveness is clearly being felt, not at the level of the common mwananchi, but equally at the level of the politicians themselves. Is it democratic way? Is it a democratic approach in regards to us bringing, of course, conversations that will be helpful to us, or clearly there's some level of intolerance in regards to the same? Maybe the panel can pick up that question and we get to hear what they have to say in regards to the same. Dr. Moitalel?
Yep. Hopefully he can respond to that.
First of all, there is that matter of that Kikuyus are only rented, they can never be bought. I don't think there is anyone who is trying to buy anyone, and I don't think there was a discussion like that. I think Honorable Caleb can attest to that, unless there was. But what I know is that Kikuyus are very intelligent people. They know whom to vote, they know whom to choose. Mm-hmm. And what I really want Kenyans to be careful about is that there has never been a call or a rallying call that Kikuyus, if they don't vote for, in this direction, they will not stay in Rift Valley. There have never been a notion like that. And to put things straight is that, you know, we have a constitutional office, NCIC, which is very categorical in matters of hate speech. So that if there is anybody who has alluded to that, the DCI should take care of that, and people should be in court. And we need to bring back this Kamata Friday of those people who propagate hate speech. So I think that is it.
Okay, that's in regard to the House of Mumbi. And in the essence of the political liquidity there, in President Uhuru Kenyatta, balancing between, Honorable Caleb Amesi, between the Big Four agenda, the restive Mount Kenya region, and of course the succession politics here. How does he balance the cards, even when there are deep differences at the moment in your party, the ruling Jubilee Party, in regard to your elections that are set to happen in 2020 to set up a structure of governance at the party from the grassroots level, when there are deep disagreements, especially at the level of the Secretary General, Raphael Tuju, who is a critic of the DP William Ruto?
Well, I think if I were the president, I can only speak if I were, because I can't speak as him. I would urgently call my troops, my real troops, and his real people, the people who put him there. I would call the Jubilee family and sit down and let's be candid and talk and discuss where are we from, where are we now, and where are we headed.
Does he reach out to you often?
No, he doesn't. He has not reached out to me for a while.
For the Tanga, I mean.
Well, we are told he met with the Deputy President on Monday, was it? While we were in Naivasha, they had a 5-hour meeting. Mm-hmm. We have no details of that meeting. It's between the two. I'm sure if they feel that it's information, whatever they discuss should be public, then they will let us know. But if I were the president, I think this is the time to call the Jubilee family, who are his people. They are his real troops. Mm-hmm. When he needed people to rally behind him, we were there for him. when they insulted him and called him names. They even called him a son of something. I can't even repeat that word. We were there for him. Those are the people he should call now and have a candid talk with us. Because we really can't head, we're not robots. We are human beings. We represent an electorate. We need our president to talk to us. Tell us what you think. We cannot just see him speaking in Nakuru and say, so he has said this, so let's follow. He needs to listen also to our opinion, because we represent a particular view of a shade of opinion. He needs to listen to us so that once he goes and relaxes, he brings those thoughts together. He has listened to ODM, he has listened to his real people, the Jubilee family, and then he puts that together, and then we all form a common ground. But if we continue the way we are now, then this BBI is about isolating people. Look at what happened in Kisii. The discussion in Kisii, and I'm happy that at least one thing that he realized was that his ministers were losing track. Matiang'i was in Kisii in a meeting that was actually dividing the nation, when you have the Minister of Internal Security seated there participating in a meeting that was not discussing BBI but was discussing personalities. Okay. Same in Kakamega. Ruto's name was mentioned more times than BBI, and he's Sugoi home. But when we went to Mombasa, was it a 3-hour meeting? Not a single mention of William Ruto's name, not a single mention of Sugoi, and people kind of stuck to the BBI, except that the reciting of Baba, which is normal. You don't have to do it from the heart. Just do it, and then you write your point.
So you feel the Mombasa gathering
Mombasa gathering started gaining track when we went in. It started making sense. Okay. It started talking about BBI. And that is why we have said we are going to attend. We are there in Kitui over the weekend. We will be in every meeting. Okay. All of us who are in Naivasha, we are going to be in Kinoro Stadium in Meru. And if there's going to be 3 rallies on the same day, we are going to split. We'll send a team to wherever that rally is, and that X rally and Y rally, and we will participate in all BBI rallies. Okay,
given that you mentioned about isolation and the fact that in terms of sticking with the politics of your party, there seems to be the deep crack in the ruling Jubilee Party. Of course, you had a plan to rule the country until 2032. But while the president acknowledges that there are problems in the ruling Jubilee Party, he seems not to have called for a parliamentary group meeting, which equally is a party constitution required, which is a prerequisite. Why didn't you have a party parliamentary group meeting to iron out these differences which are playing out in the field?
Well, that is the president's prerogative. Our constitution requires that if we are to have a PG, it is the president to call it. He is the one to chair it, or he will delegate to whoever he feels should chair the meeting. And in that case, either the deputy president or the party chairman or even the party secretary general. So I think we shall wait and see, because we really can't force him to convene a PG meeting. But we, as like-minded members of parliament, we shall continue meeting. We shall have Naivasha 1, we shall have 2, we shall have 3. If it is necessary to go up to 10 or 20, we shall continue having them at various locations, because we share the same opinion. And I like what transpired in Mombasa, in Naivasha, when we sat there. Members of parliament were candid. Okay. And we all had this feeling that we want to move as a family. We are not for this issue whereby you're going for camouflaging as a BBI rally, yet you are going to recite poems in praise of one person. We are going to have our memorandum. The deputy president the other day said he would like to have his opportunity to present his views to the Haji team. We, as that team that met in Naivasha, we're also going to talk to our constituents and come up with one memorandum that we are also going to present to the Haji team.
Okay, Professor Amon Manyora, it's all about the unity of purpose. The president said yesterday in Nakuru County, me, Raila came together for the purpose of Kenya, agenda number 1. Number 2, it's about the compromise. I mean, the doing away with the ego and then coming together at the doorsteps of Harambee House. And now that is appreciated. They will be in Washington in early February to speak to the Americans about the handshake, the importance for Kenya, Kenya remaining, of course, the blue-eyed boy and a strategic American ally in the region. And then number 3, it affects our democracy, either in the bad or in the negative way, 10 years after the promulgation of the new constitution. When you specifically read from the analytical end in regards to the likes of Caleb Kositanye, Murkomen, Susan Kihika, Kimani Ichung'wah, Ndindi Nyoro, Jen Kihara, and Alice Wahome, in softening their stance in regards to the BBI and attending the Mombasa rally, is it about the common good, seeing the common good, or a mere political ploy?
Look here. Statehood, especially modern statehood, is never about the people. This stuff about common good is never there. Nobody takes state power for the common good. They take state power in its raw form to get the best they can get out of it. Even in America, Trump is there to represent certain interests. That's why he's taken that power. He didn't take it because of Americans. No. Americans only come in when it is America versus other people, and in the process of that dynamics of their own interests. People who take power with the interests of the people are people with a dream, and they are usually revolutionaries.
Okay.
You know those, eh? Unfortunately, they have gone by tags of communists, and so people like Fidel Castro, Muammar Gaddafi, people like Lenin, and these are communists. Eh? They have a vision to transform society, and they try their best. But other people is their interest. So I've said there's nothing wrong. But you see, I've also said, you know, teaching Ayub is a very difficult job. I'm trying to teach people, to enlighten them, but they are not seeing. My friend here is saying this is the time to call a Jubilee PG.
Okay.
It will not be called. They can have the one they had, which was through the back door or through the window in Naivasha. But they're asking Uhuru to do the impossible.
Which is?
You see, it's like in a society where polygamy is not the thing, very acceptable.
Okay.
Like where he comes from, you know, and where I come from. It's not quite acceptable, but people do it. You are asking your father to sit you down and your mother to discuss that he wants another wife. How can Uhuru do that? He will just bring another wife, then later he can, if need be, can explain. But he cannot sit with you down to tell you, look here, I want another wife, so my sons, my daughters, and my wife. That's what they're asking to do. This politics doesn't work like that. Again, they are talking about isolation. Politics is like hunting. Successful hunters operate on the principle of isolate and attack. So Uhuru and Raila must isolate Ruto until he's completely vanquished. And then they have what they want in 2022. It is politics. So don't complain about being isolated. You will be isolated more. As for Naivasha 1 and 2, that's why teaching is not a simple job. I'm trying to teach, but people are not getting it. Naivasha up to 10. My friend, before you know what is happening, there's going to be a bill. You get what I'm saying?
I'm told it's already been drafted.
Yeah, it is there already. And the really BBI report they will just spring it from somewhere. I said, because if you look at the terms of reference, they say go out and do validation. And in the process, incorporate any other views or issues that may be brought about by people in the process of validation. So that opens the window for serious transformation of the BBI report. And immediately after that, there's going to be a referendum bill. So all those Naivasha 1 up to Naivasha 20 are a waste of time.
Okay, you mentioned the isolation,
Yes.
the sort of the comparison politically that there's a plan by the president and the ODM leader to isolate.
That is my reading.
Yes, you're reading now.
I don't sit with them.
Yes, okay.
Yeah.
But the president yesterday was very specific, was very categorical that
Yes.
this is the unit of this country.
Correct.
I mean, we all see that we witness uncertainty political after every
Yes.
general elections, and the idea was to free Kenya from the shackles of violence. If it's to isolate the DP William Ruto, as you say, which is as per the regard, and you're reading into the coming together of Kenyatta and Odinga, what's the point of the BBI then if it's a matter of isolation? Because the DP is a stakeholder, someone with enviable political clout.
Life springs sometimes out of death. Something good comes out of chaos sometimes. You see, if you have a beautiful idea like BBI, I think BBI as an idea is a wonderful idea. I listened to these people from Harambee House on the 9th of March. I read the 9-point agenda and the communique they issued. I listened to them thereafter. Many times over reading, and I believed there's a dream in that BBI. There is a problem in this country which if you don't fix, you will not go anywhere. So they could have a good thing they want to do. But the idea is, in order for you to actualize that dream, you'll have to get power. In the process of getting power, what did Obama tell us in Taifa Hall in Washington when he was a senator? Power does not concede anything. Power, you don't just get it. Power, you go for it. So these guys need power. They'll go for it. In the process, 1 or 2 people could be collateral damage.
And will be the casualties and the victims. Okay, Honorable Caleb and Dr. Nahashon, I'll get back to you. Let me now seek the sentiments on the Twitter handle from Linda, who will equally be taking us for a break, and later I'll come back to continue with the discussion after that break here on the program. Linda.
Yes, Thank you so much, Ayub, and also so much feedback coming on board in regards to the conversation that is ongoing. Thank you so much for your feedback. Let's sample some of them before we take a breather. And Dixon Shadrack says, first they said BBI, hash is nonsense, and further said BBI is fraud. Now I know they rubbish the BBI in Mombasa. Swali is at State House, Kenya. Will you guys let a divergent renegade group all jeer about a BBI report? That's an interesting question right there. And Kogay_Sam says, all animals were created equal, but some more equal than others. Culture of impunity since the first government. What happened to Tom Mboya, JM Karaoke? The list is endless. Kenya needs a total removal of this capitalist elite. It doesn't care about Wanjiku whatsoever. And of course, Dr. Raymond says, the same politicians who divided us are now running around with BBI saying it will unite Kenyans. The document uniting us has nothing in there for us. Politicians are the luckiest in the world. Their people fall for anything. Interesting. Clinton Kitur says, I won't be surprised when the figures come out. Anglo-leasing will likely look like a child play, and I mean to keep the entire political elite happy as they appear in those weekend outings must be an premium, obviously on account of the taxpayers. The narrative of impeachment is a desperate attempt to whip unnecessary political emotions. Politicians pose a serious threat to existing peace, tranquility, and coexistence in Kenya. That is according to Elizabeth Lizzie. And Sasha Wanjiku says, after voting in Farao, we are at the 8th plague. So Sabado darkness for 3 days. KPLC, do your thing, or they're known to do that best. But feedback is interesting right here, but yes, a clear indication that Kenyans are following up, in regards to this question of the BBI and the politics of the country, and are equally interested in this talk of change. So, of course, we'll be getting to look at some of the feedback even more later on the broadcast, but of course, we take a breather, and also we'll take a look at some of the videos that took center stage at the level of Naivasha and see what, of course, played out in regards to the same and the reaction of the panelists.
That there be an establishment of a federal system of government where there will be regional governments while retaining the county governments. Creation of an upper coast region comprising of Kilifi County, Lamu County, and Tana River counties. And creation of a lower coast region comprising of Taita Taveta County, Mombasa County, and the Kwale County. Funding allocated for the regional governments and county governments should take up 70% of the national revenue. National government should pass a national policy on historical land injustices through which a substantive standalone law on how to address historical land injustices will be enacted. Establishment of a regional land authority under the Constitution. This authority to have quasi-judicial powers to enable it to review land grants and to hear claims of adverse possession of land. G, pending the implementation of the above recommendations, all eviction court orders should be suspended.
Ukitaka muujiza usiende kanisa kesho. Tumeona muujiza hapa Mombasa leo. Na nataka hiyo muujiza iendelee kwa sababu ndugu yangu, rafiki yangu Murkomen ameita Raila Amolo Odinga baba. Ameipata ama hajaipata? Sasa aendelee mbele namna hiyo. Ya pili, mimi nataka nizungumze kwa ndugu yangu Murkomen. Huyu ana maarifa mengi sana. Nataka tujumuike, tumzungumze pamoja, na hata yeye anajua ya kwamba baba ndiye alimweka kwa mambo hii ya devolution. Na mimi nikaingiza maji kidogo, akaingia hapo, kumbe utafanya kazi vizuri. Na nasema ni kweli.
Nakupa useme. Ni kweli, nilikuwa mtu ya mkono ya baba, ni kweli.
I want to say this to fellow Kenyans, and I'm saying this with all the seriousness. We want a proper conversation on what is in the BBI report. Kwa mambo ya governance, kuna mambo ya presidential system, hybrid ama parliamentary system. Kwa mambo ya devolution, tu mambo ya hela ngapi ziende katika counties, mambo ya ugatuzi. Na mimi naomba Oparanya tuwe na 45% not of the last audited accounts but of the current revenue, ndio counties zipate pesa ya kutosha,
na hiyo ndiyo itasaidia nchi yetu. Tunataka uhaki wakati wa kura, ili Wakenya wasiharibu mali wala kupoteza maisha. Iko ndani ya BBI.
Welcome back. You're watching the program. Let me sample some of the feedback on the short SMS code. Here is this is Advice Mundalo. He says the biggest problem with Tanga Tanga Brigade is that they have invested more of their politics banking on invoking emotions of a jilted lover and using more energy than strategy. That's why they spend most of their time on reactionary antics as opposed to action points. The good professor will tell you that once you concentrate on reactions in politics, then you constantly play catch-up and can rarely lead. He continues to say that Honorable Caleb Kositani should advise his wing of DP supporters to pull out the strategy card and throw away the energy card. And you want to respond to that?
No, I will not respond to that. Well, I think he's new in politics. Or is she, that he or she?
No, he.
Oh, he, okay. He's new in politics. And I tell him, just watch this space. You will see what our strategy is. We don't just wake up in the morning and go and do things without strategizing. So let him give us time.
Okay.
Yeah.
And Dr. Nahashon, let me come to you on this. I mean, we are seeing divisions, and this, of course, was brought about by the coming together, the sort of the Nick Clegg, David Cameron coalition government at the time in the UK in 2013, and of course, which led to the bromance between Kenyatta and Odinga. However, though, there are factional interests here. At the party level, where we have the wing that supports the deputy president and the wing that supports the president. And then in the external capacity, are the divisions on the ODM end and equally on the Jubilee end, because they have a plan to rule the country until 2032. How do we converge all this energy in making this particular BBI an outcome that will kick Kenya into prosperity, in the essence that it does end the uncertain times after every election? Because equally, we had the Committee of Eminent Persons in 2006, which issued a report in 2006. And then 1 year later, we had the ugly skirmishes that engulfed the country after the 2007 election. So what is the assurance and the guarantee here that beyond 2022, Kenya will be sane politically, and that we'll have a classic referee in the IEBC, that all stakeholders will be satisfied with the outcome of the elections they preside upon?
Naturally, politics is divisive. It is very hard to find people talking the same language in politics. And it will be a long trek or a long journey before we see the two factions in Jubilee or the other two factions in ODM coming together, which again, it's okay because that's democracy. But nevertheless, the sentiment where one of the on the Twitter, there's a guy who said that BBI is a fraud because in as much as you're trying to put these two factions together, let's say we started with an handshake, but unfortunately the handshake was between only the ODM principal and Uhuru Kenyatta. Where were the rest? Where is Kalonzo? Where is Weta? Where is Mudavadi?
Well, despite saying that they were never consulted, they came on board, and now they all support the process.
But they came, but initially there was no real handshake between them. Because just remember the case of Aisha Jumwa. They said there was handshake, but Aisha Jumwa tried to unshake the deputy president. What happened? It went, there was a disciplinary, there was boardroom issues, men, real men, 10 men, being in the boardroom, being served tea to discuss a woman who just had who had tried to have an handshake. That's now where those notions where we find that there is, where we say BBI is a fraud. But
in your view, do you think it's a fraud?
So far, I think it's a fraud because I expected it to be the two factors. There should be no Uhuru group. There should be no Tanga Tanga group and Keleke. All those, there should be cracking of the whip inside first. And somebody had to crack the whip. The CEO of the country or of the party should have said that this is the direction I want us to do. Let's attend all the meetings together so that we have this. But again...
But the point was that the ruling Jubilee Party had equally divisions even on the eve of the Jubilee Party primary nominations in 2017, April 21st, where some felt, especially the likes of Kabando, Ndunga Gedenji, and the whole host of leaders from central Kenya who felt they were locked out of the party primaries by the DP William Ruto, who headed the operations at Pangani House. I mean, the divisions were there even before the general elections of 2017.
No, they thought that there are some people who thought that being in Jubilee you have a free ticket because on the fact that you are close to the president or close, you have been there, you are experienced. But to their shocker, they had forgotten the people on the ground. So, and the people on the ground should vote for you. So you thought that being in the boardroom, having delegation, having all these people will get you a guarantee ticket. So it's unfortunate that they thought it is the deputy president who rigged them. If you are rigged, there are party mechanism where you say, I had these delegates and there was a problem, they didn't vote. So those are just side shows where now the ODM is winning. Because now ODM is always vibrant. And I like what Prof is saying, that there is a evolution. Okay, ODM thrives in chaos. They must have an Okwa Kenya, they must have a BBI, they must have something that will make them alive. And again, that is their strategy. Okay. But unfortunately, if they don't pin down if you don't pin down your opponent, you just keep putting him down, you don't pin him forever. In the art of war strategy, he will wake up and finish you. Okay. So if they are trying to do that to the deputy president, it might be unfortunate if they don't pin him down completely. All right. Which is impossible.
Okay. Professor Haman Manyora. Yes. By these discussions, the divisions, I mean, the sort of the factional interest that we are seeing at the Jubilee Party level and equally at the national level with regard to the ODM presses, the subsequent presses, and one person who is the focal point of attention is the DP William Ruto. Generally, then, are we kicking the issue into the long grass here with regard to the sort of the style that we are kicking the can down the road, notwithstanding making substantial gains out of this BBI?
Let me first of all correct Langat. Lagat or Langat? Langat. Langat, yeah. These names are very difficult. But I live with the Kalenjin in my place, by the way. The Terek, yeah? BBI is not a fraud. BBI is an infrastructure. And this is what I've been telling these friends of mine. They don't get it. A political infrastructure to be used to gain state power in 2022 and beyond. To the extent that the main obstacle to that is one DP William Samoei Ruto. He will continue receiving beatings from this team until finally they have their way. To understand this, you just have to go back to the 9th of March and ask yourself, was there an individual in this country who could have beaten Ruto before then in 2022? Even if the elections were supervised by angels. Not even Raila. Nobody would have beaten Ruto in 2020. So it was all wrapped up. So you must understand the reaction from his side and his people. Because of it was so obvious, it was so clear. We are not going to have an election in 2020.
More or less a walkover.
Not even a walkover. There was going to be no election. He was the president just waiting to be sworn in until 9th of March happened. Now, when 9th of March happened in 2018, then the man who was all but president must be removed from the way. It's not an easy task, especially when that man is a smart man, smart, intelligent, and a warrior. In fact, most of these things you are seeing are because they underestimated William Ruto. They thought he will carve in quickly. They subjected him to fire, thinking it will just bend. Then they realized, this is cricket, whatever the Kalenjin call. This is a red line, it's not bending. So, most of these things you are seeing, nobody thought he would resist the temperature they had put under his seat. But somehow he resisted. And it's not going down. This is really, it is frustrating them. And in this frustration, I'm surprised that they have held this long. In this frustration, they are going to make very bad moves against Ruto. Okay. So yeah, it should be careful. Because they must achieve their aim. And they will not achieve it if he's there. So they will nibble at him, eat a bit until he's completely vanquished.
Okay.
But what is more, after he has been defeated in 2022,
Yep.
he must be prepared to be vanquished.
Okay.
Because he has given them such a hard time.
We don't have the great predictive skills to look into 2022 because God's
Yeah.
power miracle is behind our comprehension. Let me come to you, Moshe, but first allow me to pick this call from Keep Quiet, who is calling us, I suppose, from which county? Good morning. We have lost him. It's unfortunate, but I'm sure he's going to be calling back. But Honorable Caleb Kositani, the issue about the ruling Jubilee Party, and I'm just so much into the ruling Jubilee Party, the party you belong to, because you have pledged a lot, and you said you copy a lot from the Communist Party of China. You sent representatives to Saudi Arabia. Apparently, those two are not democracies. But then again, the most important element at the moment is that the ODM party seems to be making the groundswell sort of activity in destabilizing your party. In the event your party collapses, does it affect the succession politics of your party? And to what extent will you want then a sort of a salvageable bond from the president to support the deputy president?
Well, for your information, I'm the Deputy Secretary General of the Jubilee Party.
Yes, can I just pause you and pick this call? Okay. Yes, Mom, you'll continue. Yes, good morning.
Morning to you.
Morning to you. Habari asubuhi.
Salama sana.
Okay, talk to us, my brother.
I thought I'm getting yeah.
Okay, please if you can lessen the volume of your television set so that we can have...
Yes, I'm following what's happening.
Yep.
Salam?
Yes, go ahead, please. Nakusikia.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Then go.
Okay.
Then
yes, we advise our callers to lessen the volume of your television set so that we can have a proper communication channel. Yes, go ahead.
Yes, I was saying that I'm the Deputy Secretary General of the Jubilee Party, and I am not about to discuss or even imagine the collapse of the Jubilee Party. I think we have internal wrangles we have, which we will sort them out. It's a democratic party. It's a huge party with a large following. But what shocks me is the statement that the professor just had and alluded to, that Ruto was unbeatable until the 9th of March.
Yes, when handshake
when the handshake happened. Is he then confirming what others have been saying, that this BBI was about taming Ruto? Because that is, and he seems to have more information than we do from his statement. Maybe he's a member of the deep state.
No.
He seems to have more information. But I just want to say this. There's also another issue that he mentioned, because we were being told that this BBI was about bringing peace. It was about uniting Kenyans. It was about Kenyans not fighting after every election. But let us call a spade and speak the truth. The issue about Kenyans fighting about elections is about the losers not accepting that there's a winner, and the loser calling for street protests. That is the biggest problem with Kenya.
You mean the ODM party?
The ODM party. If you look at all electoral, of course we had those we called tribal clashes in '92, and those were actually we've never had tribal clashes in this country. We've only had election violence. We voted in 2013. ODM said we were rigged out. 2007, ODM said we were rigged out. 2013, same. 2017, they were rigged out. They went to court, won, and a repeat election was ordered. They still boycotted and decided they were going to go to the street. So the owners of violence, the owners of electoral violence are ODM. And even before we carry on any other discussion, they should apologize to us Kenyans, because a lot of people have lost lives, a lot of people lost property, business opportunities were lost, and those people have not recovered up to now. You know, when your business is destabilized, that time lost is not recoverable, not in the near future. And let us also discuss issues and let us be straight to each other. Since 9th of March, we have completely set aside discussing issues to do with development. We are now discussing BBI. We really cannot be discussing one item for 2 years as a nation. We have issues to deal with. We have youth unemployment. Our farmers are complaining. You have the people of Mombasa complaining about the SGR.
Yes.
I saw even a clip that they gave a statement. Why are people being forced to carry goods on the SGR, Yet people are being allowed to choose their mode of transport to Nairobi. The buses are still plying the route. People are still driving their cars. They're not being forced to use the SGR passenger train. And they have a point. But at that BBI rally in Mombasa, in fact, they said the senator of Machakos tried to bring up the SGR issue with the truck, and the microphone was switched off. I think they had a very ODM DJ. If you say anything that is not is going to, But we want to discuss those things. Those are people affecting the people of Coast Province. We really must discuss how is the SGR affecting the economy of the people of Coast Province. Those are the things that we need to discuss. We also need to discuss in this BBI issues touching on our young graduates, young people who have left polytechnics, who are at home jobless, they have graduated. Those are the issues that we need to be discussing. We need to inspire hope to a generation that is actually looking at us as leaders and saying, look at these fellows. They're just discussing about positions. They're not discussing about how we're going to survive in the future.
Good that you have mentioned the economy, because here, I'll equally put it to us, because you are part and parcel of the ruling Jubilee Party, which was equally given the authority and the mandate here. And you are minister appointed by the institution of the presidency, which encompasses the DP and his boss, the president, appointed Rotich mismanaged the country's economy and has failed to lead the country in terms of making Kenya domestic resource mobilized, in terms of resource mobilization, productivity-led, export-oriented economy, and much less dependency on loans that come from outside. And that perhaps explains the reason as to why you have been going for the soft loans from China, for example, and notwithstanding the rigorous process of the IMF and the World Bank. Why do you think the excitement generated after 2013 has evaporated so quickly in terms of your government failing the economy of the country?
That is why, Ayub, when we finish the election, our role as members of Jubilee ends at having delivered the presidency to the president and the deputy. That is where our role ends. The president and the deputy, in fact, the president goes and forms cabinet and appoints the cabinet. There is nowhere that he has to consult us or consult his deputy. He has even made several changes since then. That is why we are of the opinion that cabinet ministers or cabinet secretaries, because the names have changed, should be members of parliament. In fact, we have a proposal that cabinet, anybody who is appointed to the cabinet ought to have served as a member of parliament at one time in any electoral position, because then they know the feelings of running a constituency and they know how to deal with wananchi. When you get these technocrats that you pick because of their academic credentials and they have worked with the UN and what, they are very good. I don't doubt their credentials at all, very good. But there is a disconnect with how to deal with the issues of the common wananchi. So the issue of that, I think you direct that question about to the executive, whereby why the economy is doing as badly as it is. You direct it to the executive, because I don't, as a member of Jubilee, I don't participate at the presidential level.
But aren't you concerned about the
I am concerned, and that is why I've mentioned that.
We need to respond a bit. That's not true. First of all, you are the ones who vet cabinet nominees.
In Parliament.
In Parliament. So you must begin there by challenging the executive when he brings on board people you feel cannot deliver. Secondly, in the arrangement of our governance, Parliament retains a lot of powers. The power to make the executive do the right things on economy and so on and so forth. But having said that, let me also...
Okay, Prof, let me just pause you. There's a caller, and then you'll continue. Yes, this is Chabulet calling us from the University of Eldoret, that is in Uasin Gishu County, the county where the Member of Parliament here comes from. Good morning.
Good morning.
Morning to you. Habari ya asubuhi ndugu. Yes, go ahead, please.
I want to say that the assertion by Albert Manyora that William Ruto will be vanquished. I think what Tanya said, that after some more information, because it seems the real BBI has not yet been produced, because maybe the first one was just to test waters, and they really have the other intentions to bring in now the real BBI. But I want to say that whatever plans they have, ultimately the common man, the monarchy, is going to decide. Because at the end of the day, it's going to be either the popular initiative or the parliamentary initiative. So whichever way the Manyora and company come up with their schemes, I think the Mwananchi finally is going to decide. And we want to say that whatever rallies that are going to be held, let these rallies please change and talk about what affects the common man. Because you remember when the Tanga group went to Mombasa, even name calling stopped. Even the name William Ruto disappeared. Yeah? And so I think going forward, what Uhuru should have done and Raila, they should have contributed people from both sides as soon as the handshake came, and then involve all parties, because a constitution is prepared in an environment of inclusivity. So I think the BBI was noble at the beginning, but it has been turned into a political vehicle. That's what I can say.
University of Eldoret in Uasin Gishu County, Kongoi. Yes.
Chipnet, my friend, I hope you are still listening. You see, politics is like war. After a war, the victor may choose to be magnanimous. You may enter into a truce, but the victor could also vanquish you. So it happens in politics. You weigh.
It's either way.
You weigh. Do I vanquish Ruto after beating him? Do I vanquish Raila after beating him? What is in my interest? That's how it works in politics. Okay? And it's true, my friend from Eldoret, that Wananchi will decide. That is democracy. But there's also, I want to remind him, there's a small thing called guided democracy. The people are always guided to vote in a certain way. That's the world over. But let me now go to the two things that I must say quickly.
Go ahead, please.
In response to my friend Caleb here. One, this idea that has been peddled is a narrative that must be put to an end, that losers must accept. It is true. Democracy works where those who are defeated concede defeat. In fact, only Hillary Clinton in recent history almost defied that you must concede defeat. You know, she had been really vanquished in a bad way. Okay, so we can understand she went through a terrible thing. But for that to happen, Ayub, the elections must be free and fair. You cannot demand of a loser to accept defeat in a contest that was not fair. And we saw that in the Supreme Court in 2013, where had it not been for cold defeat of the Supreme Court and for procedural issues, that election was all but nullified. The same was repeated in 2017. The election was actually nullified. Okay. So until you address the issue of electoral theft, you cannot demand of the loser to accept defeat. That is very important, and we are always losing it. The second issue is about issues instead of BBI and instead of politics. That again is wrong. Unless and until you have addressed the politics of the land, all these issues will not fall in place. If you have good politics, President Moi, siasa mzuri, maisha mazuri. Siasa mbaya, maisha mbaya. If you don't fix the politics of the land, all issues, the potential of this country will not be realized. We will continue to suffer economically. We will continue to be poor. Our youth will continue lacking jobs. We will continue doing all the stupid things that third world countries are known for, mainly because they don't fix our politics. So, finally, if BBI is going to fix our politics, I'm for it. Because once we fix politics, and we have, like Raila said, is it in Mombasa, that Raila does not, no, that was in Kakamega, Raila Odinga does not have to be president, but Kenya deserves a good president. If we can fix issues so that we get the right mind in State House, okay, that is what we will be going
The need for wise, responsible, mature leadership. That is the intent of the BBI.
Closing remarks. Now, the reason why I have a feeling that BBI is a fraud, that's a personal statement, is that I have a feeling that the moment I will have Raila, Uhuru, Ruto, Mudavadi, Kalonzo, Kashajuma, Joe, and everybody in one room, and say that this is the people we need to put together. Let's start from the top. Let's have a real handshake where we don't. It's not about cosmetics where we think we are having this BBI handshake, all that, but in reality there is a problem. So I want that one to happen, and I will now believe from there is a real handshake. And again, as you know, Sheikh, I come from Narok County, and I'm a victim of my eviction. That's where I stayed. That's where I was born. That's where I bought land. That's where my dad was and mom were born. But unfortunately, we were told that these titles are papers, and we got out of Mau. Now, if that matter is included in BBI, that there was an injustice. The Registrar of Lands gave us this title, but unfortunately we are being told to get out of the forest or settlement land, trust land. We need to handle that, to address that. So that actually I feel that there is real building bridges initiative. I need a bridge between me and a Maasai, between me and a Kipsigis, between me and those people who live in Narok County since even before independence. So that is where we need to have that truth and live together.
Okay, Honorable Caleb Kositani, if I may come to you on this note, because it's equally very important, and we need to mention this because it's it pretty much at the focal point if we are to prosper as a country, and I'm talking about the social contract, the 2010 Constitution, which stipulates or envisions rules, parameters, and frameworks for proper governance model in the country. But then again, all this laid out in the BBI is enshrined in the 2010 Constitution. Now we have two partners who are coming together and equally want to address certain particular point. But not forgetting the TGRC report, which documented all happenings from 1963 to 2008, is still gathering dust. Your government, which has a majority in Parliament, was unable to implement that, objectively discuss that at the floor of the House. And if we are to implement TGRC, then the belief or the bedrock belief in the country is that we don't even need the BBI to cure the illness in this country. Why is it that the government has low appetite for such reports which are very key in this country?
Well, I think that is where deep state comes in when we start discussing the implementation of the Kriegler report and the TGRC report, which to me a lot of public resources were spent, but those two reports are gathering dust. They have not been implemented. And even as we speak now about changing the constitution, and that is why Kenyans are suspicious, and that is why when we speak, maybe we actually need to add positions, but Kenyans don't trust us, the political class, anymore, that anything we are saying is good for them. But personally, in my own personal opinion, I don't believe that adding more positions at the top, having more regional governors, and that is the bait that is being used to have second governors who are serving their second term, I'm told there are 22 of them, to run around in BBI rallies and dress in, I saw in Mombasa, we had them paraded in some white clothes. We only dress in uniform when we are going for engagement parties or nini. I didn't know. Yet they have that money they should have used to print copies for the people. Nini. Wananchi have not even seen the BBI. How many people are on the internet in this country? How many people can download BBI?
And also the literacy levels.
And the literacy levels. So we need first to print the copies of BBI 1, give them so that once they release the BBI 2, which as you have heard, and I'm sure you are not hearing it from me for the first time, that already there's a team seated somewhere. While this decoy of rallies is going on, there's a team that is actually writing the actual BBI 2 report, and it's already ready, awaiting just to unleash it. We need to have Kenyans sensitized on this. And the truth of the matter is we actually need to be very honest with the Kenyans. Let us have mercy. Let us have mercy on Mama Mboga. Let us have mercy on these jobless youth. Let us have mercy on the border guys. Let us have mercy on our farmers. Let us think, really, even if we do require these changes, can we afford it as a country? The state of our economy, can we afford a referendum, as we are being told, by June, and then an election in 2022, and where we have these issues of debts that we have? And there's one thing that you didn't capture, and people are rubbishing it about what we talked about in Naivasha. We need, I've been in these political things for a long time. I was in the Kano regime, and I used to see people agitating for multipartyism, and I didn't understand what it felt to be in the opposition. And now, right now, since 9th of March, I have tested the opposition a little bit.
You feel on that end.
And I feel there are things that they said which we should have implemented then, and this we'd be in a better place. And that is why when we speak about the independence of the judiciary, it is critical for anybody to have the independence of the judiciary. And that is why we said in Naivasha, 3.5% of the total revenue should be just deposited in a consolidated fund, let the judiciary use it as they wish. Of course, it will be so that they don't have to wait for a call in order to get funds in order to dispense justice. Those are things that are very critical now.
But your party leader says at the moment that we have given you enough pesa itoki kutoka juu. And he, of course...
pesa tunatumia sahi kwa BBI and all these other unnecessary things should be given to the judiciary.
But he, even as your party leader and the boss, equally undermined the judiciary and its independence when his re-election was nullified by the Supreme Court, calling them Okora. The DP equally said that, tutaona hawa hapo mbele. And you have two party leaders.
You think it's a revisitation?
But I think, Ayub, I know we are about to wind up. I understand why these people didn't get the message from Uhuru and Raila on the 9th of March and thereafter. Because they were struck. It was like lightning to them. If they had not been struck by lightning, they would have understood all these things you are asking them were addressed by Uhuru and Raila. They said, we have had laws, we have made many attempts, including the Constitution of 2010 and many other things. None of these have worked. You get it? None of them has worked. And therefore, since these things have not worked, that will include the TJRC, the work report, Kriegler report, the Constitution of Kenya 2010, and a host of other laws and policies and what have you. None of them has worked. And therefore, they want to approach it by giving it a political solution. And that's how BBI came in. So BBI is the solution to all those things. In isolation, you cannot implement TJRC report. In isolation, you can't. Because you are going to step on sensitive toes. You get what I'm saying?
Yep.
Because some people will capitalize on it to hit the others. So you cool the temperatures, you bring peace in the country, you bring harmony, then all these things, you can bring them on board and implement them. If I read Uhuru and Raila properly.
Okay, let's see the final feedback from the Twitter handle. Linda is standing by for that, and then we come back and seek the final sentiments in the next 8 minutes or so from our panel here on the program, and Linda is standing by for that to sample the feedback on the Twitter handle.
Interesting conversation, and for once we have that acknowledgement that Team Tanga is kind of the opposition of today as it stands, something that they've disputed for the longest of time. And also we have reactions in regards to the same. And Isabella Audrey says it's only in Kenya where the deputy president is running the opposition and the opposition is working with the president to run the country. And our selfish leaders, that is Collins Macheng, says, Ochieng, sorry, yes, says our selfish leaders are building wooden bridges which can't withstand the weight of our bleeding economy. The main agenda of the BBI is creating more positions and sugarcoating it with other few issues to confuse the mind of a common mwananchi. And Emily Nkirote says, before the wooden bridges break, the leaders will have crossed to the other side. The common mwananchi will fall into the water. Some will be swept away, others will be eaten by crocodiles. Only those who know how to swim will survive this massive tsunami. And another tweet from Advice, who equally had sent a message, says anyone who wouldn't mind raw politics in its real shape and color wouldn't mind listening to Professor Herman Manyora. He works as a volunteer to all sides of the political coin as he tells them all the reality as it is in both political and analogy and ground perception. There you go, an interesting view right there. And also Wanjiku San says, Despot President Uhuru Kenyatta can insult us all day, but he cannot force his despot agendas down our throats. Yes, of course, with the aspect of social media, there's always that, freeness of one coming out to echo their sentiments freely. And that's more like it in regards to the reactions that we're getting still coming in. And of course, the conversation continues right here on our social media pages. But just to get a wind up of the same, even as we clock on to the last minutes of the program, Ayub, I'll throw it back to you so that at least you can sort of bid goodbye to the gentlemen and of course thank them for the great insights that we've gotten in regards to this particular topic of the BBI.
Okay, thank you so much, Linda, for the upbeat assessment of the feedback on the Twitter handle from our viewership across the country in regards to the calls and equally the short SMS codes and the feedback on Twitter. But Honorable Caleb Kositany, Professor Manyura, and Dr. Langa, let's just finish up with this important element. The Senate will today determine the fate of Ferdinand Waititu Babayao, the governor of Kiambu County, and I'm starting with you, Doctor, in regards to the impeachment that was conducted by the County Assembly on 19th of December 2019. And he, of course, made his case yesterday. He said it was a political witch hunt. The process never adhered to the rules that were set down by the Constitution. But the calls from Kiambu County is that there is a growing concern about his capacity as the governor and, of course, the mismanagement that they accuse him of ever since he came to power in August 2017. Is it a case of perhaps, again, the Senate proving a point that it's a safeguard of devolution today that we might witness, unlike the first session between 2013 and 17?
I believe in the rule of law whereby where you deal with facts. I remember there's a time where Chief Justice Maraga was saying that, bring me facts, and then you'll have what? Convictions. Now, I expect that the prosecution side from the Senate brings about all those evidence. And if they are factual, what we read, what we hear on the newspaper, that somebody, the daughter of somebody, the wife of someone, and so, were doing business with the county, there is a conflict of interest, which is not good. Okay. We should have to have declared it. So I expect justice for Waititu, and I also expect the Senate to do its constitutional mandate and dispense justice. If there are findings that he breached the rule of law, let there be justice. Let the right thing be done. Also the Senate, without compromise, without taking sides, without receiving calls from the top as we hear, let them do their work. That is my sentiment. But
there were divisions already last week on the floor of the House. Honorable Kositany, 80% of former and current governors will end up in jail, according to the Senate Accounts Committee report chaired by Homa Bay Senator, that is Moses Kajwang. And we have tended to equally look after the child, that is devolution, which is at his embryonic stage at the moment. Will the Senate prove a point today, in your view?
Well, I think the Senate has a great opportunity to prove to Kenyans that they are independent and that their clamor to be called the upper house will be tested today because they are making a very key decision on the future of devolution. I personally have heard the issues that Waititu is against, charged of or accused of. And the part where we really need to have a conversation as Kenyans is this issue of conflict of interest. Because it does not mean that if I'm working here at Ebru TV, and my brother is a supplier, the sole supplier of cameras, and we want to buy cameras, we have to look for somebody else to supply cameras because I'm working here and my brother is a supplier of cameras. So really, we don't need to demonize relatives of people who are in positions just because they're doing business. Let them do, so long as they do legit business. I think everybody, any member of the family, of any family, is allowed to do business, even where your brother is the managing director or your cousin or whoever in any institution, governor, member of parliament. You should be free, so long as they do not get undue advantage over others. So whoever is doing business, let them do business. Let us not use our relatives and demonize. So I mean, where do you expect them to go and do work if that is the work that they have decided to do? So I think the Senate has the opportunity. Waititu placed his case yesterday. Let them do justice. As Waititu said, he just wants justice. And let us also remember that in whatever you do, as the Bible says, do unto others what you'd like done unto you. So long as they're doing the right thing, we'll go with whatever decision they do and let them treat Waititu fairly.
Yes, Professor.
I have one observation to make, but before that, let me quickly react to this procurement and conflict of interest. One, in certain instances, there is the procurement law that may say and state clearly that certain categories of persons cannot trade with a certain organization or with government. You get it? Yep. I was trying to buy some vehicles that are being sold over the university. And then I was told the Procurement and Disposal Act prohibits those of us who are working that institution from buying. So that is the law now. And it's your work to change such a law. So long as they are still in force, then for that, you can be impeached or prosecuted. The second thing is that it is good manners to declare conflict of interest before, even if you are not asked. It's good manners to declare conflict of interest. To say, here I am, this is my wife, she's tendering, but she's like another Kenyan. Even the president said about the sister. That is correct. But it's also, thirdly, the truth that if Caleb Kostani is governor and the wife is tendering for something, I cannot compete the wife of the governor. Because the employees, these people who are processing these things, have been employed by the governor, Kostani. And I want you to be governor of one. So you see, those are realities. Now my observation, very, very quickly.
This man is now campaigning for me.
Yeah, you'll get. Somehow I like you. About today, let justice be done. But there's something I want to say that people don't seem to understand. First of all, within that short hours, you cannot prosecute a case. So this is a political decision. Even in the American Senate, the impeachment is going on now. At the end of the day, whatever lawyers say, whatever the Chief Justice who there says, at the end of the day, a vote shall be taken. Meaning, it's a political decision. And finally, Ayub, let us not have a repeat of the Wambora issue. The moment somebody is impeached, it should end there. And the Deputy Governor Nyoro should be sworn in immediately. That is how it should be. You cannot impeach President Uhuru from Naivasha and then he goes to the Supreme Court. No.
There was no impeachment in Naivasha, please.
I'm saying just for example. If you started from Naivasha and you end it and you exhausted the processes as provided for in the Constitution up to the end, the moment Senate pronounces itself, the president is hereby impeached. Immediately he ceases to be president and Dr. William Samoei Ruto becomes the president of the Republic of Kenya to complete the term. We must play the same in Senate. These shenanigans of people going to court after Senate must stop. If it doesn't stop, you must make that law clearly. Because you create a vacuum.
Does it require a referendum?
Okay.
I don't think so. It's just a question of clarifying the law.
Well, thank you so much, Professor Herman Manyora. Commented on politics and governance issues in the country. Thank you so much for coming. I do appreciate your time. Honorable Caleb Kositani, rather, is the member of parliament, Soy constituency, hopefully to be the governor in Wasingishu County.
No, I'm not running for governor.
Or maybe
I'm defending my seat in Soy. You never know anyway. It's 2022, still far. The wise professor here has prophesied.
One day it's too long in politics. Yes. And Dr. Nahajo Langat Moitalel is a policy expert with Kipra here in the country. A big thank you to your calls and equal feedback on the Twitter handle NewDayK and the short SMS code 40920 and the calls on 0791478990. And that's where we come to an end here on the program. And tomorrow, Linda will be here in the morning with Matters the Economy, a discussion that pertains how we need to turn around the country's ailing economy. Equal will be here tomorrow night for the primetime news on News Compass. And we'll see you for Friday in an entertainment, not to usher in the weekend in style. From me, Ayub Abdikadir, and my colleague Linda. We'll see you tomorrow by the grace of God. Bye-bye.